everyone, welcome back. It is finally time to wrap up our reviews for WrestleMania weekend. I know WrestleMania was 2 weeks ago, but the reviews keep coming because there was just so much wrestling to watch that it took us 2 weeks to get through all of these reviews. So with me once again, we have Campo.Reviews, the man who reviews movies, TV shows, wrestling, everything in between. I, of course, am Johnny Donuts, as you know. Make sure before we get into this review that you like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notification so you know when the San Antonio Spurs are going to be playing. So with that, let us get into our final review, our 7th review in 10 days. This is NXT Stand and Deliver. We're saving this one for last because this one took place on the same night as WrestleMania Night 1. I feel WrestleMania had to take precedence over everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
And NXT with Stardom, with Noah, is not high on everybody's priority list, unlike us, where we just watch anything.
Fair enough.
Which I also did watch a few GCW events, which were pretty good. Like
I did as well.
So it's like, if we had to start reviewing GCW and all that, we wouldn't have time for anything else.
Yeah. No,
we do have lives outside of wrestling. We both have full-time
debatable.
jobs. No, I mean, we do have full-time jobs.
Debatable if I have a job.
You know, I gotta let Timmy out of his cage every now and then. I gotta feed him. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you know, he eats the cat food for the cat who's not real.
The cat is not real.
And the cake confirm. And the cake is a lie.
The cake, you know what it is? It's like in the show, Is It Cake on Netflix? It's like, is it cat? No, there's no cat.
There is no cat. I've only had De Niro for 16 years, but that's...
He doesn't exist.
18, actually.
That's crazy.
18. Actually, he's 18.
So your cat is almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he still moves the way that he moves.
Yep.
The cat that definitely doesn't exist. I definitely didn't see move. He did, like, not eat any food that was given to him.
No, he didn't. He likes his kibble, but hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's he'll be 18 and he just turned 17. He'll be 18 in October. He was born in 2000. Yeah, he's an old guy.
That's crazy.
He's an old guy. But we're not talking about old guys. We are talking about the future of WWE. We're talking NXT. We're talking Stand and Deliver. This was a solid week of wrestling, like in terms of wrestling. We'll start off with our pre-show match, which surprisingly, they usually never have a pre-show match. It was Joe Gacy against Shawn Spears, a returning Shawn Spears. And he goes by Shawn Spears. He doesn't go by his old gimmick name, Ty Dillinger.
Well, thank God for that.
Yeah. But I mean...
It was okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
It's Joe Gacy. I really don't care about Joe Gacy.
Yeah, I don't like him very much. I'm not going to lie. And Shawn Spears is way past his prime.
Yeah.
I feel like they just signed him because he's friends with them and like it's...
I think they also signed Shawn Spears to help backstage with Shawn Michaels and like...
Yeah, it's got to be something that, because he's done. He doesn't have it in him anymore.
No.
He's just going to get injured.
Oh, yeah. Joe Gacy does go over. He finally gets the win over Shawn Spears. We'll go right into the main show. The first match was Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. What are they called? The Wolf Dogs?
The stupidest name ever. That's not Lion Hook.
Lion Hook? Yeah. Against Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the NXT Tag Team Championship. This is what I liked about the show. Pretty much most of the belts were contested on the show.
And that's what pay-per-views are for. Or blood feuds. I thought this match was good, but I find NXT booking for tag matches is clunky. It's not smooth at all. Even when they do like really nice spots or whatever, it just feels like a big clunky mess.
And in all fairness, Baron Corbin didn't feel like he fit into this match. Like, he's had good chemistry with Braun Breaker in past tag matches, but in this match, it felt like he was the odd man out here.
He does, and this is what I find weird. You have a guy like Shawn Spears, who's actually like a good wrestler, okay? Why are we holding on for dear life to Baron Corbin? Why is he even working in WWE still? And I don't mean this like to be offensive, but like after watching all the people we watched get cut and all the cool people you could have possibly paired with Braun,
Yeah.
why is it Baron Corbin?
I don't know. He's gonna get sucked into that vortex of mid card vortex of
He
nothingness.
already did in my eyes. He's no longer the top of the card of NXT,
No,
especially now that Trick Williams is as popular as he is.
which baffles my mind.
And I'll get something else that happened. It
Yeah,
started here, but it goes for a while, so I won't jump into that yet.
yeah.
Covering up Booker T by having the third guy, what the hell's his name? Nigel McGuinness,
Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett, same
Yeah,
guy. Helps a lot.
yeah.
Booker T barely talked for this entire event except at the women's
Oh
match.
my! And the main event, he was
Yeah.
at his Booker T worst during the main event.
I muted a lot of the main event.
Yeah.
I'm not lying.
Then this is what I don't understand either. So with this, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker do go over.
Yep.
And then 2 nights later, they lose the belts to Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Why don't you just do the belt change at the pay-per-view?
Because I think they didn't think it was gonna sell at a pay-per-view. On the weekly show, they don't give a shit what they do.
Okay.
To produce those weekly shows is basically free. They
Yeah.
own the building. They just pay for the electricity for the time that they're running that, and that's it.
Yeah.
They make money from all the people coming in and shit, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, who cares?
Okay. But yeah, we'll go into our next match. Obafemi defending the NXT North American Championship against Dijak and Josh Briggs.
Okay, so it starts here and it continues until I'll tell you when it stops. The crowd does not give a shit about any of these wrestlers.
No, they don't.
Except for Braun Strowman. I mean, Braun Strowman, except for Braun Breaker.
And Trick Williams.
Nobody popped for anybody at all. Maybe
No.
Ilya Dragunov. The women's match, literally, when
Was dead.
Lyra Valkyria and fucking Roxana Perez got no sound. Zero sound. It was like I didn't even know what I was watching. And then I'm convinced that there's a sound pump because there's this huge influx of inaudible noise that's not cheering. It's just like jabber
Background
in the
noise,
background. And it's so loud, and I can't understand why it exists.
Yeah, and it's placed at the wrong point too.
I've never watched any sporting event, including wrestling, where the just sound of people in the background is that loud. Maybe at the World Cup where there's like 80,000 people in a stadium, but it doesn't make sense
or
here.
At a Super Bowl or something.
This stadium was not sold out. Don't let them fool you. There was a lot of empty seats. And it is Philadelphia, which is a great wrestling crowd. Philadelphia.
They said the paid attendance was 16,500. There was not 16,500 in
there
this
was probably
arena.
like 15K. And I'd assume they probably
That's
had
being
about,
generous.
I'd assume they probably had about 17,000 seats. There was a lot of empty seats. You could see them if you look. But on the hard cam side, there's an entire section where nobody was sitting.
It was blocked off. Yeah.
However, like I'm not knocking on them. I found it odd.
And I don't want it to take away from the in-ring work because Dijak in this match was absolutely fantastic.
I really like Dijak here, but I think all the talking they've done in the last month about how Obafemi is the next this and the next this, he was not good here. He was okay.
No, Dijak was the best. Even Josh Briggs was better than Obafemi.
Why
in this match.
Isn't Braun Breaker with Dijak?
That would have been a fantastic.
That would have been a fantastic team. And it's the same character that Baron Corbin is trying to pretend to be.
Yeah, but with Dijak, it's more believable.
Yeah. But however,
and he's a lot better in the ring than Baron Corbin.
This match to me was again, it was okay. It wasn't special. I think, like you said, Dijak was fantastic. And for Philadelphia, though,
it was a quiet crowd.
I expected like it to be raucous in there and like the building shaking. But I guess there's just so much wrestling happening throughout this week in Philadelphia that
think about it. By the time this show aired, they've already had Stardom and they've already had Ring of Honor.
Yeah, and they've already had the GCW show, the MLW show.
Yeah.
You had the Jersey Cup. You had all of that stuff. So it's like they're probably drained.
Wrestling burnout. Like not for us, but I'm suffering from a little bit of it too. Yeah. I was so happy this week that I didn't have to watch anything.
It was also an early afternoon show.
Yeah, it was noon.
So the people who went to the night shows, like maybe Ring of Honor, had to come home, go wake up early, go to this, and then if they're going to Mania
And if it's
later,
Philadelphia, they're probably drunk off their asses.
yeah. So I mean, like you could feel it
Yeah.
though. Like it wasn't a normal, and this is me being positive towards this. It wasn't a normal NXT or WWE audience that's really into it. It was like
No.
very like baseline.
They probably got the 3 day. They probably bought the WrestleMania package and they got NXT for free.
Or that's what I'm saying. They probably came from wrestling, woke up early, went to this, and then have to
Mhm.
go to wrestling later. So this is just like whatever to them, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
So,
like how it is for us with the Money in the Bank.
yeah.
Either everyone's gonna go to all the shows and they're gonna get to the NXT show in Toronto and be like dead, or they're gonna not really give a shit when they go on Friday night to
Yeah.
SmackDown and that crowd's gonna be dead.
Yeah. But
Which, by the way, those tickets are expensive.
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go.
You're not gonna
Not
go?
not at $300, dude.
Yeah,
For terrible seats.
we got 240 deck in the middle, but we
Okay.
bought like immediately as soon as it dropped.
Yeah, and it still probably was expensive.
It was 240 the ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with what's it called, variable pricing or whatever they call it in Toronto, like it's ridiculous. The single day show tickets are more expensive than a 3 day package right now.
Yeah, the cheapest thing is the 2 day package that has not NXT and
It's
thing, but
SmackDown and Money in the Bank.
SmackDown and Money in the Bank is the cheapest option. It's like $300,
Yeah.
and a SmackDown ticket alone is like 120.
Yeah.
So you're paying like for me, I would have paid $60 more to go to SmackDown, but I can't go to SmackDown because I work, so I
Yeah.
can't.
I don't know if I'm working this Saturday or not, so I don't know if I can.
A lot of people are not going.
Yeah.
Everyone at my work that says they were going is not going now. Only one other guy ended up with tickets.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Unless you want to support the show and send me a little cash and help me get to Money in the Bank,
Send
I
him the cash.
send me the cash.
Yeah, but originally when they first dropped, the guy that I know who bought the weekend pass thing paid
Hmm.
460
Yeah.
for the 3 shows, and he bought 2 tickets, so that's $1,000.
Yeah. Not worth it. Not worth it for me. I'll hold, like, considering pre-pandemic, I went to go NXT Stand and Deliver and SummerSlam, and that cost me $240.
That's
And
crazy.
and that show I got to see DIY face FTR.
Was that here?
Yeah.
Oh, is that that's the NXT thing that everyone always talks about?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the best NXT.
Event ever.
Yeah.
Yep. But I digress. Let's talk about this match. Let's talk about how good Dijak was and how I popped when he almost won it. I really thought Dijak was going to get his time with the belt.
I would have liked it. I wouldn't be upset. I've learned to
No.
like Dijak, especially when he was in the feud with Tony the Bucket D'Angelo.
Yeah. Who did not impress me on this show. We'll talk about
No,
that
we'll get
later.
there.
We'll get there when we get there. But it was still good. I love Dijak. And if Obafemi is supposed to be your next, I don't know, Brock Lesnar or whatever you want to call him, he did not impress me in this match. He did
No,
very little.
no.
He just
And
stole the pin at the end.
I can't stress enough that what they said about him is not like, oh, he's going to be like this guy or this guy. That there's rumors behind scenes that they are going to push him right to the top of the main roster immediately.
But
And watching this, I'm not still letting you do that. I would be
no,
very upset.
like, no, like, how can you push him to the top of the main roster when you haven't even given Braun Breaker that push yet?
There's also rumors that Braun Breaker is not going to the main roster for this whole year. He's going to stay on NXT.
Really? Because the draft is happening in 2 weeks, I think.
And
So stay tuned because we are going to do our mock draft once again.
apparently the rumors, the big names are going to be Mello and Dragunov that are going to leave.
Yeah.
And everyone else is going to stay on NXT.
Because the Monday Night Raw after Mania, they had Dragunov and Perez both on Raw.
Yeah.
So, and no Pop Tamatonga on SmackDown.
Oh yeah. By the way, that's crazy to me. My buddy Jeremy made a really good point saying that he in North American wrestling, as just like showing up at his age now, he is like a C tier wrestler.
Mhm.
Which I'm like, that's fair, I guess, but like he is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time.
In
And for him
Japan.
to show up and literally get no pop to me was crazy. nobody, like, it wasn't no pop. It was like the Andrade situation where they're like, who's this guy?
Yeah. And Corey Graves had to mention that is the son of Haku on TV, or else people wouldn't have
Yeah.
known who he
He
was.
mentioned everything, his time in Japan. He mentioned
Yeah.
all of that. So it's like, but anyways, this was just a weird time of no pops, I guess.
Yeah. I think wrestling burnout, I think once again, people were suffering. But yeah, we'll go into our next match. Obafemi retains. We have a 6-woman tag match. It is Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, and Thea Hale with facing Izzy Dane, JC Jane, and Kiana James.
This
Uh,
match was bad. Like,
yeah,
actually bad. Not okay, not
I
fine.
think this was the worst match out of everything we've seen all weekend.
If you minus out the nonsense in the Billy Starks match, then
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, and which is so sad because I'm high on Thea Hale. I'm high on JC Jane. Like, I don't know.
I like JC Jane, and I think Thea Hale has a really high, like,
I
ceiling
like the
now.
character. If she can improve in ring with that crazy girl, like little pixie crazy gimmick, it has legs, that gimmick.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I
I
mean?
think she could do it better than Liv Morgan because she actually
Yes.
has like a power set to her, and Liv Morgan does not have that.
No.
Um, the other girl on her team, the dark haired one, Fallon Henley, is
Fallon
that who it
Henley?
was? She kind of impressed me in this match, but like
Yeah.
at no point did her chemistry with anyone else work.
No, it was just 6 random women in the ring, it felt like.
It felt like that, right? And this is like this is the prototypical 2.0 match to me.
Hmm.
It's just like stupid storyline, nobody cares. Why are we watching this?
Yeah.
You put a bunch of people in this match, 4 of the 6 of them can't wrestle,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. But Thea Hale,
This is 1999 WWE women's wrestling.
yes, absolutely. Like with Miss Kitty and all that.
Yeah, this was like a brawn panties match.
Yeah, without the brawn panties.
Yeah.
And that's the
And
thing too. I don't understand how NXT, they're so high in Kalani Jordan, but she really hasn't shown me anything.
she's listen, I like her her skill set. Okay. She's like a cheerleader, gymnastics. I get it. Okay.
But I
But
feel
it's
like they're
so
trying to rip
slow.
off the Willow Nightingale character with Kalani Jordan.
Wait, isn't Kalani Jordan the tall flippy dippy one?
No, Kalani Jordan was the short little mixed race girl with the curly hair.
Who's the tall, skinny one that does flippy dippies?
That's Izzy Dane.
She's in this match too?
Or no, you're thinking Sol Ruka.
Who the hell was in this match?
Fallon Henley, Kalani
Yeah.
Jordan. Kalani Jordan is, she kind of looks like Willow Nightingale.
Okay, so it's not her. Who was on the other team?
Izzy Dane, which is that tall, skinny blonde chick, and Kiana James, who looks like a porn star, and JC Jane.
Oh no, yeah, no, it is that girl. I'm sorry. My brain is just like I had to really think about that. Anyways, everybody's too slow.
Yes, it didn't work. And the less we talk about it, the better. Thea Hale wins, and let's move on. With that, we get a shot in the crowd of none other than Hat Guy
That guy.
and Julia.
And Knuckles.
Yes, and Knuckles too. That's right. Knuckles made an appearance on this show too, behind the announcers
They're
booth.
really pushing for Knuckles there.
Yes, streaming on Paramount Plus, right?
Yeah. No, I gotta say this before we talk about the other thing. You, they didn't have like graphic boards or
No.
screens. They literally were hanging like paper posters over the side of the thing that said Knuckles.
Yes,
It looked so bad.
it
Okay,
looked really
but
ghetto.
that has nothing to do with this show.
But let's talk about Julia. Julia showing up at
Yeah, Julie
NXT
was
and
there.
Hat
She's
Guy.
super hot. Um, she got a louder pop than like 90% of the wrestlers who were in the
She
matches
got a lot
did.
of pop than Tamatanga.
Yeah, definitely. And it is Philadelphia,
Yeah,
so I will give them credit, even though it's a WWE crowd, for knowing who Julia
yeah,
was. But I feel like a Philadelphia crowd would know more wrestling.
yeah. And the fact that Rossi Ogawa was there as well. I know him and William Regal are really good friends.
Little
So could
Willie,
Yeah, so could this be a partnership with his new company?
it is for sure, 100%.
And that's why Stardom is in panic mode, trying to get not
I
panic mode,
I
but
wouldn't
like,
call it panic mode,
but they're
I
trying to
think
get in before they do.
I that's why I think they know this is happening. So they're trying to get their partnership locked down with all the other major companies so that Ogawa has nowhere to go
Except to WWE.
except to WWE. So then it's like, okay, yeah, you can work with WWE, but we're gonna have every other company and you can't go there. Kind of like how AAA and CMLL work,
Yeah.
right?
But
It's
my feeling is Regal also has a strong relationship with All Japan.
I mean it could, but then I think that you might burn your bridge with New Japan.
But they don't have a bridge with New Japan.
All Japan does.
That's true.
And the amount of usage you would get out of WWE would be far less than the amount of usage you get
Yeah.
out of New Japan, right? Maybe it'll grow your worldwide audience, but then you'd lose a lot of your basic in-house
Every
people,
day.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we'll see how that goes, but
I
I
mean,
think that's
Regal
what it
did
is.
send his son over to face Nakajima.
Yeah, and hey, Nakajima champion, good guy.
Good guy.
I do think that it makes sense here because Rossi doesn't want to he wants to make this company without the risk of Julia being poached. So the only way for him
Yeah.
to do that is to offer his services to WWE and let
hmm
them use her. That way he can keep her.
And then they could do a good talent exchange.
Yeah, I think so. Like I'm excited to see it,
Yeah.
even
I
though
would.
the Japanese wrestlers will lose all the matches. But
Yeah. But with that, after they make that announcement, we go into our women's championship match, which is Lyra Valkyria defending against Roxana Perez. One of the
silence
better.
is golden.
Yeah. Yeah. You muted Booker T for this one?
No, but the crowd didn't care.
No.
As this match progressed, more and more people left their seats.
hmm
This was a P match.
This match went a little too long as well.
Yeah, you'd think that everyone would have went on the last match, but like this, they were just like walking up the aisles during this match.
Yeah.
Um, but
And which
it,
is sad because I love Lyra Valkyria.
so
Like
do I,
she's
and I think she's really good. But I think this is an awkward position for her because this is my take on this match. And don't don't listen to me
Mhm.
and
We're
feel
not
this.
experts by any stretch of the
No,
imagination.
but I'm gonna give you my take, not the audience. I'm gonna give you my take. Don't take what I'm saying and just agree with me. If you think I'm wrong, you
Yeah,
just go,
absolutely.
okay? I think number one, the original belt run for Roxana Perez was far too early in her career. She wasn't ready. So they took it off her
hmm
now, and now they realize they want to give her the belt. My issue is she has not progressed as a wrestler at all. She's
No,
exactly the same. She has a couple new moves, but she's not any better. She had multiple stand around spots here where she was just in place waiting for something to happen. She was out of position. She missed punches. Lyra had trouble like getting her to be in
into
the
position.
right.
I've noticed that I have that down too. Like she had to put Perez into position for Perez to do the move.
There's a spot where she like rolls over and she's trying to like throw her out of the ring, and then sorry, Roxana goes with like no momentum and then has to like stop and then jump and throw herself
Yeah,
over because she was scared to like just fly through the ropes.
ropes. Yeah, I
Which I
saw
mean,
that.
that's okay. That's you're asking a lot, but still,
Yeah,
it's like you stop mid momentum, stop the move, and then threw yourself through the ropes. So I
yeah.
thought that one was really
And
weird.
because they're so high on Perez too, and there's talks about moving Perez up to the main roster, like the outcome of this match, why would you give Roxanne Perez the belt?
I agree with that. And if you're gonna go for a quick change, you're defacing the value of the belt.
hmm
Um, And then I don't know, you main roster her, let's just say, okay? It's not that she doesn't have talent, it's she's not ready. She's 2 years
No.
away from being ready. You're gonna end up with another Alexa Bliss, which
Yeah.
you can't say the name, but
Or
it's
or or a Liv Morgan
Liv Morgan has grown into a character, which I think covers up the fact
that
of
she can't
her
wrestle.
abilities, right?
Yeah.
Because she can have a match with someone who's good,
Yeah.
but she can't make a
Carry
match
it.
better.
No, she cannot carry it, just like
No.
Perez cannot carry it.
No. And like we said earlier in another episode, we look at Becky like that as well, but Becky can be put with anyone and the match will be fine.
Yeah.
Roxanne, if you put her with anyone equal or lower of skill level, the match will be awful.
Like, look in the short period of time, like, and I hate to compare it to her. Like, we keep beating a dead horse with Tiffany Stratton. Like, Tiffany Stratton is head and shoulders above Roxana Perez right now.
She went from someone that we watch and couldn't understand why anyone liked her, and she just kept getting better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
And
But that's because they weren't high on her.
but this is the
She
thing.
had to work to get her position, where Perez, she came in with that.
Lyra is a kind of veteran, I guess you
Mhm.
could call her.
Yeah, she's been around for not
So
long, but
she understands though the indie go. Okay.
mhm.
And we'll get to Roxanne in a second. Is it Roxanne or Roxana?
Roxanne.
Okay. So she understands the go. So NXT is the show where you go.
Mhm.
And the main roster is where you slow it down and you do it safe and you play smart. Um Lyra's going.
Yeah.
Roxanne came in from Ring of Honor where she was going and
And
has
she was
now,
champion.
yeah, and now she has settled into the main roster style of wrestling, even though NXT is where you go.
Yeah.
So it's like she's already wrestling like this really slow paced, cautious, like we're doing everything
Yeah, by
perfectly
the numbers. Yeah.
choreographed, even though I can't be in the right spot ever. On paper, at the end of this match, did I feel like this was horrible? No, it was
No,
actually a decent match,
decent
but I
match. Yeah.
just think I I question the thought process of the push for Perez
Yeah.
is how I come out of this, right? I didn't leave this being like, ew, that match sucked. I was like, oh, that was okay.
It was a
But
fine match. Yeah.
it was one of the better matches on the card, to be
Yeah.
honest. It's
Better
just
than the last one. Better than
she,
the Yoba match.
yeah, freaking Yobogoya. She doesn't know where to be. I don't think she should be at the top of the card. I'm
I mean, the
sorry.
girl's only 21, 22. Like,
Yeah,
give her a couple more years of seasoning.
yeah.
Because right now on the main roster, you called up at the time your NXT tag champions. They lost, and nobody's heard boo from them again. Where
Oh, they
are
had a
Alba?
cameo at WrestleMania.
Did they? I didn't even see them.
They oh, you're talking about the women's? They
Yeah,
were
what's
they
in it?
were at WrestleMania. They
Alba
weren't
Fire
in
and
yeah.
Isla Dawn.
Well, you called up Pretty Deadly and didn't do anything with them either. So injuries aside,
Yeah.
it's it's one of those situations where that was two of your best wrestlers, Isla
Hmm.
Dawn and
Alba Fire.
Alba Fire, which even if I didn't really like Alba Fire, but you brought them up as a really good tag team, took the belts off them right away and told them to fuck off.
Yeah. Where is what's her name too in all of this? Blair Davenport.
Not being used properly. Where's
She should
where
be at the top of the women's card.
where's the other British girl?
Which one?
What's her name? The colored hair one. No, that's Candice LeRae doing
Candice LeRae.
nothing. And then
Hmm.
isn't there like an Australian or New
Or
Zealand
Tegan Knox
Tegan Knox doing nothing?
on the main roster. Yeah.
And it's like you don't need more of these people. And that's what you're doing with Roxanne. You're bringing up
Yeah.
another wrestler that's not ready, who's only in a mid card to low mid card caliber wrestler that you're just piling onto this roster that is already women bloated. They have
Yeah.
too many women's wrestlers.
What happened? Like, look at the joke they turned Chelsea Green into.
You have enough women's wrestlers to create an entire actual tag division that
Yes.
has nothing to do with the singles division. Do you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you have enough to have 5 tag teams on each show that don't
Hmm.
even interrupt the singles division.
Yeah. But who knows? Who knows? But Roxanne Perez is your new champion. And with that, we get another announcement after this match. And her on-screen character is absolutely horrible. The Rock's daughter, Ava, like she is bad. She
See,
did
listen,
not inherit any of her father's charisma.
I don't want to be like a mean person because I feel like we always do this, but she's not a good actor. She's not a
Nope.
good wrestler. She's not a good character. This is all nepotism and it
Hmm.
shows.
Yeah. But she does announce the NXT North American Women's Championship.
And what Lyra Valkyria is going to go win that now, which is probably what's going to happen.
And Blair Davenport, because now the belt is with Perez. Perez is like your champion.
They're going to create some kind of feud for her, and then you're going to have
Yeah.
a tournament for the other belt. Was it a tournament? Did she say? I don't remember
I
it.
don't know if there's a tournament, but Yeah, whatever. I don't really care. Like, this is just, I always like more belts, but this feels like creating a belt because Perez has this belt and we're going to keep it on her for a while.
Did they unify the NXT tag belts and
Yes. The women's belts, like on,
so those belts go across every show?
yeah. So it's just
You have
one,
enough women to make 15 tag teams that don't interrupt the singles roster, and you're
mhm.
not doing anything with
but
some of the women.
but you're creating another belt.
I don't care about creating another belt. I just think if you're going to create another belt, give us a lower mid card European title belt that crosses both shows, or
Yeah.
a cruiserweight belt that crosses both shows, so people have something to do.
Yeah. Like, this is what, and this whole thing about let's take the men's design, make it a little smaller and put a white strap on it. I don't like that.
I agree.
They should have created a completely different, they shouldn't have called it the Women's North American Championship. They should have just called it something else.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but I just book the shows. I don't create the names.
The
But
women's intercontinental.
right. But we'll go into our next match. This is for the NXT Championship. Ilya Dragunov defending against Tony D'Angelo.
I don't know why Tony D'Angelo is a not even number one contender, a contender at
A
all.
contender at all.
Um, you know what really bothers me? Can I just get this one out there? Why does Ilya Dragunov's mouth always bleed? Always. That's his whole thing now.
Poor gums.
Is John Moxley is his mouth, and
Yeah, or AJ Styles' cheek.
yeah, and it's starting honestly to bother me. Like, why do
Yeah.
you always have to bleed from the mouth? Can't you just not
He
bleed?
does not take care of his teeth.
Yeah,
He has
but it's like
gingivitis
I'm sure he just has like a way now that he's so callous he could just bite his cheek or something and make it bleed
and make it bleed.
or
Yeah.
something like that. But it's like always.
Yeah. Seems like every match. And don't get me wrong, we love Ilya Dragunov. He's probably the
Oh
best
my
guy on the
god,
NXT roster.
he is for sure. Him and Mello.
And Mello, yeah. But
But
this match wasn't offensive though. It wasn't a bad match.
no,
I
it
just don't
wasn't.
see I
I
just
don't
don't see the
understand it.
appeal. I don't like the character of he's serviceable in the ring, but I don't see the appeal of Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo's a mid-card guy to me.
No, I agree. I see the appeal of what's her name that's outside, but like I don't see the appeal of Tony
Adriana Rizzo,
D'Angelo. Yeah, the Riz.
there is, as the kids would say,
She looks like a nice Italian girl.
right?
But yeah,
And what's
I
that other guy's name? Luca Crostini or whatever his name
I
is.
don't even know who that guy is. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have any idea who that was.
So whatever happened, there was another guy with there was Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and a third guy. Dimes was his name.
There
He
and
disappeared.
Dimes was there before Stacks, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure. Because Stacks
Yes.
comes later.
Yeah. And then Dimes just disappears, and now they got Crostini and Rizzo there.
I'm offended that you called him Christini because I like those. um, but yeah, it was a fine match.
Yeah.
It's like
This seems like the theme of the show. It was a fine match, but nothing really, no substance to it.
it's a questionable thing, right? Like I know you have people tied up.
Mm-hmm.
This is a spot though that should have had a Tyler Bate who you don't have anymore,
Mm-hmm.
or the guy that's in Judgment Day who you don't have anymore,
JD
or
McDonough.
it should have had Braun who's doing something else, or it should have
Mm-hmm.
had Mello who's doing something else, and now it's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
You
It
can't have
was
John Wayne Gacy because he's
no
wrestling freaking
John
what's his
Wayne
name?
Gacy. But I think what's happening next is the next match is what's setting up for Ilya Dragunov's main roster run. So with that, Ilya Dragunov does retain. Fine match. It wasn't anything horrible. D'Angelo's serviceable in the ring. He's not botchy.
Yeah, he's just
He's
the
there.
guy that you put there when you need to get something done.
Yeah. He gets things done. So with that, our main event, Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes. Blowing off this feud finally. Now, to me, was the crowd really behind Trick, or was it again like a pumped in type of sound to make the crowd
It's a
louder
bit
than they
of
were?
both. People are
Except
starting
Booker
to
T.
like.
Booker T was at it. Trick Williams, whoop that Trick. Like Booker, shut up.
You do a pretty good Booker T impression. I think it's a bit of both because they have now what the WWE does is they condition the audience to think that they're supposed to do this. So
To
when it
cheer for
happens
him.
now, they know they're supposed to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the stupid thing they're doing in AEW with
Mm.
Mercedes Moné, the CEO.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they're slowly, I promise you, that part of her song is going to go away, and the song is
The
just
cr-
going to start, and people are just going to chant
or even
CEO.
what they do with Seth Rollins, when the crowd chants the oh,
Yeah, exactly.
that's pumped in.
100%.
Part
But
of it.
they've now been conditioned to think that they have to sing that
Yeah.
song for hours until he tells them they can stop singing it.
Yeah.
And that's a thing. That's all of wrestling does
Yeah.
that.
It's been going on for years, but
But yeah, WWE is criminal
yeah,
sometimes the
but
way that they do
it's
it.
just Booker T, like you said, Booker T, like in this match with the commentating,
I had to try. I muted at this match.
and he was like, when what's his name, Pat McAfee on Mania weekend. Are you a heel? Are you a face? Like sometimes you're defending the faces, sometimes you're defending, and Booker T was like that on this show too.
But the thing that was really bad about the WrestleMania chemistry there was, um, who's the other guy?
Corey Graves.
Corey Graves is also a heel announcer. So you had two heel announcers, but none of them were doing heel the whole time. They were both flip flopping. So
Yeah,
it's like, I'm so confused. You've been telling me for years that this guy's a heel, but like he's also a face, and
yeah.
then that guy's also a face.
Doesn't make sense. That don't make no sense. That don't. But the match itself,
I just want. This is what I want. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you, and then you tell me.
okay.
I want an indie show with 480p. I want the sound quality to be as shit as Stardom was, and I want Caprice Coleman. I want fucking Ian
Va-
Fakabani, Fake
Veda Scott,
Riccofoni, and Veda Scott and Booker T, and that's my lineup. And just give me that.
no wrestling, just
And
have
the
them.
only wrestler is Fat Elvis.
And Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston versus a blow up doll, and Fat Elvis is the referee, and it's 3 hours long.
Okay, that's just the card. That's it.
Yeah, and the winner gets the DDT Iron Heavy Metalweight title.
Hmm. Okay, let's do it. Let's book it right now. I'm sure Eddie Kingston will do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
But we digress. Let's talk about the match itself. Um, Trick Williams, like we weren't really this high. We're still not. I still don't see the appeal behind Trick Williams.
He's not
Bad.
garbage,
No. And he
but
has potential to be good.
he's not a top of the. He's getting Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
He's not ready to be here. This storyline didn't need to happen now. Unless
No.
Carmelo is going up tomorrow, you could have held off on this. But I get it. It's their biggest show of the year, and they wanted to do it. This shouldn't have been the main event.
No.
But you
No.
can't because Tony D'Angelo's not a main event guy. So you kind of you forced yourself into this
into this
position.
position. Yeah. And this is what's going to set up. And I think this is what we were talking about. Trick Williams does finally end the feud. He beats Carmelo.
And it was a really good match, actually.
It was. It wasn't a bad match. Carmelo, but the thing is, Carmelo carried that match.
And like you said though, but Trick is fine in it.
Yeah. He's serviceable. He's not.
He's getting slightly better.
Yeah,
and
he is improving. I'll give him that.
I do think his character is awful though. But
yeah,
Mello is a 10 out of 10 wrestler.
He's what you would call a generational talent.
Absolutely. Him and Dragunov are so good that I can't believe that JD McDonough and Tyler Bate are on the main roster and those two guys are still on NXT.
NXT.
So make this make sense.
Tyler Bate is pretty good though.
But not like them.
No.
I can't believe that Dominic Mysterio is wrestling at WrestleManias and those two guys are still on NXT.
Yeah.
Talk about nepotism.
Mm-hmm.
And
I said this in our Mania review. If Rey Mysterio wasn't with the company, Dominic would be out. Long gone.
If Rey Mysterio retires, he'll stay. If Rey Mysterio, like when he went to do the stuff with like Ring of Honor for a bit and like in Mexico, and
he showed up at the first All In,
and he never came back to WWE, Dominic never would have got a job ever in WWE, no matter what he did.
I agree. But going back, like you said, Trick Williams was actually pretty good in this match. Carmelo Hayes was absolutely fantastic. This was probably best match on the card.
Yeah, for sure.
without a doubt.
No, like not even
Yeah.
close.
And Trick Williams does end up winning.
And I
The
didn't like
feud
how he
ends.
won because
No, it was kind of a little cheap.
Mello had the win.
Yeah.
Mello beat him down for so long that there's no way you're selling me on this random dude's one knee beat on all like the best guy
Yeah.
on your whole roster.
Yeah.
You know, you're not telling me a Sami Zayn versus Gunther story here. You're telling me
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes versus literally a valet. The guy was a valet.
It's Million Dollar Man versus Virgil.
Exactly. Except Million Dollar Man is Stone Cold Steve Austin
Mm,
and the other guy's Virgil.
yes. And Trick Williams is nowhere, RIP Virgil, but Trick Williams wasn't that bad. He's not as
No, but it's like it's hard to make that comparison because
yeah.
Mello is way better than Ted DiBiase ever was.
Yeah, but some of Ted DiBiase's AWA and NWA stuff was fantastic.
Fair, but not in
In
WWF.
WWE. No, no. I digress. But
Anyways,
Trick Williams goes over. The show is over. Our 2 weeks of wrestling reviews over Mania weekend is over. We are coming back next week with Windy City Riot, but that is a story for another day. What would you score this show?
6.9.
So
I
for you,
I
this was the worst of
of the
the of
weekend, but it
yeah.
still wasn't bad. Like I watched it and I didn't feel fatigued or like I didn't enjoy myself.
Yeah.
It was just like a bunch of base level matches.
Yeah.
And then though that one really bad women's match.
Yeah. So I gave it slightly higher, not as high, but I gave it a 7-1.
I mean, I think that's fair. I think even if you went higher, it would be okay. The
Yeah.
women's match just really bogged it down.
Yeah.
It was too much time
Yeah.
and it was so awful. And then the next women's match, which was
The title match.
an okay match, but it was way too long.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. So with that, our 7 show average. So our average, I got the average of all our shows for us. My average over the weekend, over the WrestleMania weekend, is a 7.5, and yours is a 7.6. So you actually overall gave this weekend slightly higher than I did, even
If
though
I
you
had I
gave
gone any higher on NXT, I probably would have been even higher. But
yeah. But I mean, it was a good things aside, this was a good 4 days of straight wrestling. We have finally come to an end with this. Like I said, tune in to next week. I was going to say tomorrow. I'm getting, I still got wrestling on the brain. Tune in next week. We will have our Windy City Riot New Japan. Is it a strong show or is it a New Japan? It's a New
strong.
Japan. It's a strong show. Okay. So it's a New Japan strong show, Windy City Riot. So tune in next week for that. A few other surprises here and there. So make sure you have that bell on, ring that bell for notifications so you know when all our wrestling videos drop. So with that out of the way, guys, thanks again for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this WrestleMania couple weeks. 7 reviews in 10 days. We are tired. So in the words of Kenny Omega, goodbye and good night.